about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
That was Great Sounds of Watson with Outside on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, Mr. EZ BlueZ. Easy, you are always better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us again and for the first time on the broadcast?
Ladies and gentlemen, when a journey can start with a single keystroke, when a journey can start with a single letter written onto a page, you truly and fully get the full experience of what it's like to create a universe, to create a world outside of your own. When you can create that world and you can lead people through that world, you are truly an author. And for that, I want you to put your hands together, not if you're driving. If you're driving, please keep your hands at 10 and 2, because we don't need any accidents. But mentally, put your hands together for the fantastic, the amazing, the supercalifragilistic, Lucius Bond, and Alex Moore in the building. What's up?
What's up? What's up, guys? Thank you guys for having us. We're definitely excited to be here.
Definitely appreciate it. It's good to meet y'all. How y'all doing today?
Excellent. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. Excited.
All right. For people who are just hearing you guys about the first time, and this is a question for both of you to start this off, how would you describe this art in one powerful sentence?
I put my soul into this when describing this entire universe.
Gotcha.
If I had to use one word, it'd be limitless.
If we were to pick one single word, just think of exceptional.
Sounds good to me. Alex, you're a Connecticut native. When did the idea for Unordinary Strangers first come to you?
So one day, my brother, shout out to Roshi Visions. He's my photographer, videographer, graphic designer in our company. We were, sitting in the backyard, throwing sticks in the fire, and we were like, "What? We would love to be superheroes. What would it be like to be superheroes? However, how would it be in our day and age? And being a superhero in the city of New Haven, and what if you had like the natural drawbacks of having like powers?" So we sat down, started getting to writing, and honestly, from where me and him finished off in the story, it took about 4 years because it was only the two of us. He was kind of doing his own thing. And then I partnered with my friend here, my brother, my guy, Mr. Aluiscious Bond. And what took me about 4 years to do with Roshi Visions took about like 5, 6, maybe 7 months at the max. So like, and it was nothing to Roshi. He's more the visual guy. So it's like, I was doing a lot of the writing, and it was a lot just for me to do it by myself. Right. And to have another writer that knew exactly, like, he loves anime, he loves superhero stuff, anything power related. Like, we're basically the same person.
Pretty much. Like, overall, when it came to our meeting, we met through somebody completely different. And like, we already had our own 2 stories that we were already starting. And when he was telling me about Unordinary Strangers, I just had visions, imagination bloomed. Like, I just had this idea. It was all like, wait, this could be so much more. It was just one of those things when 2 creative minds just collide like a supernova.
Lucius, tell me about the storytelling, what storytelling means to you. I'm reading that you found it later in life. What was that moment you realized it was your calling?
So it started when I was maybe in middle school, 6th grade, 7th grade. And at this time, I didn't necessarily pay too much attention to social media. It was either school, sports, or if I was in my free time, I didn't have anything else to do because I'm at home. So I was like, let me just create something just out of my pure imagination from the stuff that I've watched, So I started off with like stickman comic books, and then I was all like, drawing's maybe just not my thing, overall case, but I like the concepts. So then I started to write it down. And then fast forward 8th grade, it was just so happened that my 8th grade English teacher she made us write an essay, well, not necessarily an essay, but the assignment was us writing our own horror story. And I don't necessarily remember the details of the story. I just know for a fact it was these teenage kids. They were, at a lake house or something for the weekend. They were all having fun. And then these lumberjacks, they were demented, crazy, whatever case may be. They saw these kids as game, so they were hunting them through the woods. Apparently, I wrote the best story out of all her classes. So I was all like, if I'm this good at it, maybe try to just a little bit more. And I didn't actually truly dive into writing a full-blown book until after I graduated from college, because I was done with sports, didn't have anything else to do, got injured. So I wrote my own story, which I called Astral Conquest. And when I met Alex Moore, it just seemed as if like the timeline just fell together.
This book started as a script before becoming a novel. What made that transition? Either you can answer this.
Well, for me personally, because I started the script and then I got with Mr. Aluiscious. We started writing the story, and it was difficult to keep the script going because he lives in Florida and I live in CT. So for me to write a script and then be able to like properly prepare for like actual actors to do this was a lot more difficult because we are all over the place. So he pretty much gave me the idea to write it into a novel because then we could have it animated. And I've been wanting to do a lot of voice acting a lot lately. Like I've been super amped to do voice acting. So writing out as a book series and then being able to go back and animate it made it a lot easier for the concept to grow, because the excitement of being able to voice your own animated character, like who wouldn't want to do that,
Easy, go ahead. I know you want to say something.
Oh, no, that's one of the key things. Yeah. I know. I got a full bullet. I'm pulled back, dude. I am locked and ready to rock. Let me tell you. But no, it's super, super interesting because, as you continue to talk about this and you talk about the evolution, I literally saw the pictures beforehand. One of the things that I mentioned to Preston was this would make an incredible graphic novel, and that's like really the grit in which I got from it. So seeing that, and it'll play so well on an all audio podcast. So you can easily take this and convert it into a script, kind of working backwards, similar to what they did with the Godfather book. You know what I'm saying? And then move on from there and then build up to that point. And then you have the script that was just for the podcast, and then put on top of that a script that could then be in a movie or in like an animated series. And with the podcast too, if you wanted to do it with just still images, of just like you find like just a single image of, you have your artist draw up a samurai. Not that this is in your story. I'm not trying not to spoil anything, but it'll have a samurai cutting through a watermelon. You know what I'm saying, or something along those lines. Have that picture in there, but more dealing with what relates to your story.
Absolutely, I get it.
Alex, what inspired this story? We're talking like X-Men vibes, My Hero Academia, something completely on its own, because you're a fan of superhero culture when it comes to shows, comics, and just universes in general.
So there are three specific pieces that kind of cultivated this art together. The first thing, it was a show called Heroes that used to air out. I think it got canceled after like season 5. But, great show. I liked the realness of it, having different aspects of people's like day-to-day lives and having powers. So that interested me. There's this webtoon that I actually started reading when I was younger called Unordinary, which is kind of where I kind of got the name from, low-key. That dealt with, there's this kid going to school. He's acting as if he doesn't have powers. Everybody thinks he's pretty much a normal person because everyone else has abilities. They're bullying him, picking on him, but come to find out, he was the biggest threat in his previous schools, but they covered up the information. And he's not really normal. He's just hiding his powers. So that like interested me too. And then, like you said, X-Men. Big. It has a huge X-Men like theme of, just there are people with powers, there's mutants, all of that. Like, that's definitely the cherry that was on top of the Sunday.
Lucius, from your point of view, what makes Ordinary Strangers different from most traditional superhero origin stories?
So quite frankly, to put it in plain aspect, we already know the way just X-Men was already developed. It's everybody own different unique personalities, their own different internal struggles and such. But instead of just having it confined to just maybe Xavier's school and then overall, it's not just superheroes and the X gene, like how it's genetic.
Yes.
There's definitely a lot more to it than that. Like, for instance, we don't even want to dive too much into it, but we have certain characters here that you can't even necessarily explain how they do the things they do or think the way they think. It's a nice little spin because you generally don't know who to really follow, who to support in the book. Everybody has their own thing going on. Everybody is who's the main character if we really want to be honest, So you just got to watch everybody look for the Easter eggs because, like, for instance, there's the main team with Storm, Cyclops, Wolverine. Like, we know those are the main guys that have the main depth, the development, and then we can go into like Beast or even we can go further, but I just know
there's layers.
There's too many layers to even really describe just one character. Everybody has their own spotlight. Everybody has their own vision. Everybody has their own story to really go through.
Alex, in your opinion, why do stories about outsiders and mutants, quote unquote, resonate so deeply across generations?
Because everybody at one point in time, they either wanted to be different or they felt like they were different from what they wanted to be accepted from. So, like, finding that media that speaks on that and expounds on that feeling of feeling like you're not wanted, but you're actually special in your own way, like, it resonates with a lot of people. And, when you add superpowers in the mix, then, everybody wants to have that type of struggle in a way. It's like, be honest, I would love to be an X-Men. Yeah, as a person, and it kind of ties in the US, like, me being a Black African-American male, I'm already dealing with the struggles of being Black and being a male when I'm out on the streets. And with the US, it's like those struggles are still very apparent with the addition of you have powers, and if you're not registered, people don't like you. If they don't know what you're about, then they don't know you. They don't want to get to know you. So it's just I don't know. It's just an amazing mix, and it just fascinates me. And I know it fascinates everybody else to have that to go to and be like, oh, well, how will they get out of that situation? How do they fight out of that struggle? And just to see that.
And one more thing I would definitely add on is like that part is like, even if you like have a power, there's not necessarily a limit to what you're capable of. Because the only reason why there's levels and classes and such is because there's so much fear in just being a Devi. Nobody wants to even see the true potential of what they're capable of. So they stick to the class that they're in, But now, God forbid, they get the freedom to actually expand on what they know and what they can do. They can go from being a low-level Devi to being a S-tier level Devi, It's all just...
Oh, go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
No, that was the top off.
But, just to make a little lighter with the conversation, if the book had a theme song, what would the genre be?
Genre?
I'm a little all over the place when it comes to music taste. So music specialist actually answer that one.
No, we're gonna have you answer that one. No, we're gonna have you
I was
answer that
about
one.
to say that.
We're gonna have you answer that one. You're not gonna have the music specialist answer it. We're gonna have you answer that.
Yeah.
What is the theme song from you? Because I want to know if it's like Greatest American Hero. I want to know that. I want to know if it's super cheesy. I want to know. I want to know because it's so much that actually depends on this book itself.
Right.
If you want,
And
my
the
opinion, I would have a different song every intro.
Okay. That's fair.
Because just this one book, one Origins by itself, we couldn't possibly make 2 seasons out of it. And then with all the different spotlights that we have, everybody has a different ordeal. I can't just have the same intro for all these different people. It could, like, imagine having a happy-go-lucky intro, you know, like for some animes, and then next thing you know, someone's holding their dead friend.
Yeah.
So it was to me, we're changing the intro every episode.
All right. Nice. I like that. I like it. Also gives it a little bit more flavor, a little bit more challenge. As you're out there, not only are you competing creatively with the storytelling, but now you're using the theme song itself to tell the story, which is very, very operatic, very, very much, I'm sure there's like 9 characters that die in the second act. And then in the third act, everyone is all happy, just like, and they're hanging out with Muppets because that's what they did in Return of the Jedi.
Right. You never know. You just never.
The book deals heavily with oppression and propaganda. Was that inspired by real world parallels?
Unordinary Strangers, if you put the initials, it's US, which stands for us. But also like if you want to dive deeper, United States, hint, hint. So yeah, it does deal with real world parallels because the main mission of the book is for people to see like this is reality, like this is what reality would be if we have powers. And in all honesty, like with the different personalities and things that people bring to the table, like we pretty much all do technically have deviations. Like we're all different. We all bring something different to the table, and that does actually affect us like in the real world in terms of how people treat us, how people look at us, how we're perceived. So pretty much the whole book is a real world parallel of what's going on today.
WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Before Easy gets his point across, is Ordinary Strangers ultimately about powers or about humanity?
Humanity. Like, just to put it plainly, because yes, it's very supernatural. The stuff is, quite frankly, impossible the way we look at it in this day and age, but the powers is just a symbolism of who you are.
Easy, give us your hot take. I know you had your finger up.
No, it's just, again, it's super, super interesting because, we all know the true origins of the X-Men, where it came from the civil rights conflict and different aspects there. To see the story being retold, to see that story being told from this point of view, where we grew up in a world where the X-Men existed, and we got these stories down, just like you have the Bible or you have the Quran or you have all of these incredible stories, and you have the ability to follow it, but we've lost that. And that's what I love about the humanity aspect of the book itself, is the really dealing with the plight of loss. Like as I like to say, just because of when you're first in the novel, the main character, when you're first in the novel, the main character, the one you're following the most, loses everything.
Exactly.
At an age where most of us would have lost our minds. Like, if we would have lost a Tonka truck at 11, we would have lost our spit. But this dude lost everything and had to really recreate himself and rebuild himself. And I want to know what those 7 years were like. I want a 7-year montage. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to hear like Eye of the Tiger in the background and like dude's training, like, trying to do a one-handed push-up and into a handstand, something. Give me something. I want to know what those 7 years were like.
No spoilers, no nothing, but your prayers will be answered.
Awesome.
I'm just
Like,
going to give some character names. I'm not going to give any spoilers to anybody in the book, but Christopher Mays is described as a ruthless figurehead. Was he inspired by a particular archetype, political, corporate, or personal?
Kind of a mixture of a couple.
Hmm.
yeah.
Loose. Um, Honestly, like again, without spoiling too much, like you said, he pretty much lost it all, had to rebuild himself,
Right.
and um, his father was basically somebody of great importance, and he had big shoes to fill. So after rebuilding himself, he came back and basically took over what his father left him,
Hmm.
and you know, power gets to everybody's head. And when you don't know the whole truth, you tend to do things in a different way than if you knew the whole truth. And that's currently what he's going through. Like, he wants all this power to rectify a situation, but he really doesn't know everything that's going on.
Hmm.
So the way he's dealing with everything, trying to be, a more important person, again, without trying to spoil too much, gain more power basically without losing his sanity, but he's slowly losing everything that he really was trying to be by trying to be somebody he's not.
Which character was the hardest to write emotionally?
Emotionally, oh my God.
See, we warned you. We warned you. We said we were going to get deep.
Oh, jeez. Oh. It's a all right, toss up is Joker. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay.
The toss up is Joker, but if I was to say anybody else that I hated having to write the experience of is Dolly and Anastasia. Just the whole family. I just hate the whole family dynamic. So I'm like, so if y'all want to know the backroom chatter when writing their whole family, literally, I'm talking to him about it. I'm like, do I have to do this? Like, do I have to? And he's like, yes, for the sake of the plot, do it. And I was like, oh, Jesus.
Trying to get shirts made for the sake of the plot.
Mm-hmm.
Because I put him through a lot. I'm like, listen, I don't care how bad you feel after this. I want you to feel 10 times worse.
It was so bad. It was so bad. Just the emotional trauma to give to that whole family was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think fear is such an effective tool for controlling society?
I remember this one quote from this show. Let's see if y'all know what show I'm talking about. Movie.
Okay.
This boy asks this very established man, would he rather be loved or feared? His answer was, it would be nice to have both.
Mm-hmm.
But if he was to choose one, he'd rather be feared.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can do a lot with love, but love can only get you so far.
Right.
Most people would often say they choose loyalty over love.
Mm-hmm.
And you're more likely to acquire loyalty through fear, because who would dare to step to someone of that stature?
See, it's very interesting, because then you have fools like me that love to jump to that stature, that love to look at that person and go, challenge accepted, because that's just the way things go. And I totally get the vibe in which you're going for, and I love it. I love every aspect of it. But there's so much more intertwined in there. Like, I'm really shocked you didn't say The Officer was one of the hardest things to write for, because how are you writing for the man that's covering up who he truly is to sit in the systemic thing that keeps his people down?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's like one of the hardest characters out there, if you're really, really looking at it. So that had to be gut wrenching to try to write for as well.
I hated, like, that's what I'm saying. Just the whole family, just the entire family. I hated writing the entire family, because, like, he didn't even want to be there, if you're being realistic. He didn't want to have to talk to anybody. He didn't want to put my boy down like that. He hated it,
Mm-hmm.
And then the simple fact that he has to now, he knows what the repercussions of this is.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he went out his way to see it firsthand, yeah, I hated it.
Word.
Malcolm and his friends go from observers of injustice to targets. What message are you sending about neutrality in times of oppression?
Mm-hmm. That's a loaded question.
It's a real loaded question. How you feeling over there, friend?
I mean, like, so for me, well, I'll be honest. So my character is Malcolm. Like me personally, I am Malcolm. Like, you know, I represent in the book. And to go from like being someone that's seeing injustice being done to now having to suffer that injustice and then some, it's just a matter of it's like you can't really play on the safe side thinking it's totally safe when it really isn't. You know, you're not, no one's untouchable. Someone's going to find something to attack you on, something that they don't like you about.
Absolutely.
And depending on how strong of a gift you have, that could influence people, will determine how much they hate you. Which is the thing that with fears, like the more power you have, or the more power they think you have in the story, the more they think you're a threat. So you're automatically classed as, you know, an S level threat without even people getting to realize like who you are as a person, what you can do, stuff like that. So that's my side, partner.
Alex, if you had to describe Malcolm in 3 words, what would they be?
Overprotective. 2 more words. Overprotective, musically inclined, and just determined. Because he's me. I'm overprotective of my family. I'm always going to be overprotective of my family, you know? Bro, you literally see this man, he has his headphones. He's like, "Low, bro, like, shut up. I want to make my beats. Like, chill out." And then, like, he's determined to pretty much figure out what he needs to do to protect the ones that, you know, he needs to be in, as well as protect himself because he's a high value target.
Right.
Each friend has unique abilities, but you would say their bond is the greatest weapon. Why emphasize friendship over power? Either one of you can answer this, or collectively.
Because it's ironic coming from me, because everyone that I'm close with will tell you I'm probably one of the most antisocial and reserved people on this planet.
No.
There we go. But I still firmly believe that nobody on this planet is meant to be alone. Like, the way you can thrive alone. And if you can look me in my eyes and tell me that you have nobody that you will go to for literally anything, like you're perfectly content just being isolated from the world, you say that I don't trust you.
Now, this is a 2-parter. How did you split the writing responsibilities between the 2 of you? And were there any creative disagreements? If so, how did you resolve those?
So I will say, just as for the work split, it was really coin flip. We were all like, "Bro, you want to do this?" Or it's like, "Bro, yeah, you want to take this like paragraph right here? Hold on, this interaction is like more meant for you. You want to take over right here?" Like, just a coin flip kind of thing. Now, as for writing disagreements, or
I mean, we didn't really have too many writing disagreements until
That's good.
it was time
That's
for
good.
me to tell him, like, "Hey, for the sake of the plot."
the most disagreements we'll ever have is just like, we know it's meant to be in the book. One of us has to write it, but we don't want to write it because we know that it's meant for us to do it, you know?
No, I get that. There's some themes you don't want to bring up, but it's so super important that they're brought up. You know, a lot of people say, DiCaprio playing the role that he played in Django actually helped the movement move forward, because you had an ally playing someone that was so despicable and saying such horrible things, being true to the actual relevancy of the history of the story. He had the courage to play completely out of his character. So I definitely see that.
Alex, Malcolm never imagined becoming quote unquote one of them. Why is that important? Without giving anything away.
As to Malcolm's knowledge, he and his little brother were just some normal kids, going to school, just doing the normal thing. He doesn't have his parents. So he had to take the responsibility of being the older brother very quickly and stepping up quickly to take care of his brother. So it's like to go from basically having this normal lifestyle of pretty much just having like regular problems in his mind to now being like, well, now I'm hunted. I'm being hunted. I can't step outside my door without thinking somebody's after me. Like, it brings a bigger intensity because it's like like I said before, nobody's ever safe from anything. Like, there's always going to be something that's going to be after you. So like, don't get comfortable thinking that like you're untouchable, because there's something there. There's something.
Lucius, coming from a sports-driven background, that influenced the teamwork and camaraderie in the book?
100%. 100%. Because I've done track and field, basketball, football, soccer, and then I've done several different martial arts. So with the different perspectives of solo sports and then actual team sports, it was like, I know the different perspectives of all the different people that do this kind of thing. Like, there are the stat chasers, there are the people that feel like they can carry everything on their back. And then, you have to have the perspective of the people that actually want to succeed. So, being a sport-driven person definitely was able to help me broaden my perspective on like the team aspect of everything.
4
It
years.
also,
Oh, go ahead, Easy. I'm sorry.
it also should reflect on the training aspects that people were going through as well, because you're dealing with that same type of practice coming from a sports mind. You know what it's like to train this specific muscle to move in this specific direction to get this specific thing taken care of, and that you had to do a lot of that. The characters have to do a lot of that in this process. They have to realize, and they have to train, and they have to grow, and like you said, they have to realize that their powers are limitless, not limited.
Exactly. I'm glad you brought it up, because there's obviously that one chapter where we have like JJ and William, and they're quite literally at a standoff. And, it shows the progression of not only their capability with their abilities, but their changes in attitude.
Mm-hmm.
They're the young ones. They're 16 and 18. So.
Right. Those are the youngsters.
The book talks about carefully orchestrated lies. In today's world of social media and information and misinformation overload, how dangerous is this?
Oh, Mr. Lucius.
I think this is a soapbox.
I'm a very superstitious person. Always.
Okay.
I'm suspicious of everything. So it's all like, yeah, we need to make sure that in this day and age, we understand what social media is capable of, because there's always misinformation being spread. AI is now a thing. You don't know necessarily what you're supposed to believe, what you're supposed to read. And, you can and there's a lot of people that genuinely will forget Google is free, So I genuinely needed it to be brought to the attention that propaganda is still a real thing. It's just more slithery about it now.
Right.
And in the book, obviously, I just made it a little bit more exaggerated.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. Coming from what's going on right now, I don't think you exaggerated. I think you came from a really prolific point of view. You know, there's a lot going on that's going through. You mentioned the AI aspect. You don't know which pictures are real. What is this? What is that? If you're not there at that particular moment, how do you know that actually happened? When you've got, you know, certain people in power saying that, you know, gas is at $2 a gallon when we all see it's still at freaking $3.50. You know, we're like, what are you talking about? Like when you know, what is the truth and how important is it? Now, that's one of the main things that I want to really focus on. You guys are telling a story, which you have two different points of view telling a story, and you're using it into a singular point of view. How hard was that to really get into the synergy of working together?
Not that hard at all. Really.
Honestly, it's like we did the fusion dance. It was pretty simple actually going into it. And I was gonna actually talk about it. It's very apparent, especially when our two characters are in the same scenes together, because it makes it easier for us to pretty much go off of one another's reactions because they're us. Right. So it's like the last couple of chapters are our chapters, and if you read it, you can kind of see the fluidity of like when he responds, I'm just like, I'm right there on my laptop typing like, yeah, no, this is what I would have said. Like, no. Right. And it's actually a lot more fun that way when we are writing together the same chapter, like doing response, like call and response type thing like that, because it's like the energy and the ideas just keep flowing, and it's easier to bounce off what would actually happen in a real life situation when you're reenacting it.
I will confidently say that the last chapter was probably one of my favorite chapters to write with Malcolm, simply because it was like actually us actually having a genuine interaction. Like literally just setting the tone of chapter 28 and then leading into the interaction after such an ominous setting. Like, I thought that was perfection in my honest opinion.
The book questions whether peace between mortals and deviants is possible. What do you believe?
I don't think there's. I don't necessarily think there's gonna be any peace anytime soon.
Okay.
I don't know. And it's really because, again, like you said, the misdirection of like not having all the information given to you. See Christopher Mays going into, you know, this position of power, but like not to get too political, but we all know like sometimes politicians have other goals in mind besides what they give you out on, you know, the front page. So, you know, there's other things Chris is doing while promoting himself to be this self-righteous person that, you know, it's like, what are you really doing? You know, so it's you just have to be very, very careful pretty much with everybody, because you don't know if they're really wearing a mask and they're who they really say they are. And that really will be a landmine determining on what path you decide to take with the information you're given.
Yeah, we put a lot of symbolism into the mask thing, because even from the guy that literally wears a mask the whole series, probably the most straightforward one you'll be dealing with when it comes to like the DPA.
Did you create backstories for the deviants that didn't make it into the book? 'Cause I know there's a lot of layers to this story. Could we see more of that in future installments?
Oh my goodness.
Everybody has a backstory.
There's like, we currently have like maybe like 37 pages in our Google Docs of like just listed out characters, personalities, like their whole entire like biography and everything. And we're still going as we're as we're writing, because we're writing book 2 currently. And as we're writing book 2, we're just like, hey, so we got to go back and go add these characters now, because
it has a name.
like they have to have a name now, and like a whole background, and like why are they important, when did they meet, you know, what did they eat last night, like we have to have all that information now, because it's like the more the story unfolds, you just get more parallels and like side stories that can be enhanced if you keep going, and it's like it really is becoming its own universe, and it's becoming a chaotic one at that.
And if we're being completely honest with you,
Right,
like the theorize and like the conclusion of what you want the story to come to, it's like that's the hardest thing about it. If we're being honest, the hardest thing about this cultivation is making sure that everything that we've already written adds up to what we want it to end to, you know?
Right.
So that by itself is just like, now we have to make sure, okay, where was this person last? How were they interacting with this person? What did they do? Like, we have to keep track of everything. So we just if they have a name, there's a game.
And the name is WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, and Easy Blue discussing Unordinary Strangers by Alex and Lucius. Two-parter for you guys. If this book becomes a movement, what kind of conversations do you hope it sparks in schools, book clubs, and communities? And also, 10 years from now, what do you want people to look back at this art?
I've been waiting for this question. I'm gonna be so honest with you.
I want him to answer the first half because I definitely have an answer for the second half.
Gotcha.
Oh, the immediate first conversation is, I want there to be debates. I want people to putting our characters in their favorite characters of fiction, like automatically. Those little anime debates they be having on TikTok and live and everything. I want our characters in those debates. I want people debating if Naruto could even beat Malcolm. Like, come on. Like, that's how
Naruto, don't do that to him. Don't do that to Naruto. I'll put him to bed. Stop that.
Exactly.
For the 10-year plan, honestly, well, for one, the book by then is still going to be going. Like, the series will still probably be happening before we actually get to like his story. So when we came together, we realized like my story pretty much fit like a prequel type situation to his story. So like everything that happens in my story are the pre-events before his story actually takes off.
Right.
So it just made things a lot easier, especially since he had already had different characters in his to come over here. Like it's so much content. Like we've already talked about, the animation. We do wanted to have some live action aspects of it, where I'm currently making soundtracks to like almost every chapter of these books. And hopefully, the soundtrack can cover the other books, because I'll be honest, making 37 songs per book that's a challenge.
Yeah.
So, like, there's just so many things that can be touched on with Unordinary Strangers. So within 10 years, it's like people are still going to be talking about it because it's still going to be current. And the great thing about it is like we have the power of when we release it. So like as things happen throughout the years,
right,
we can keep adding newer current events into the novels to keep things more engaging and people wanting to come back.
If readers walk away with one lesson from this book, what should it be?
For the sake of the plot. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I just had to break the ice on that one. Because I've had readers literally like, hey, I read this. I don't like this because it's amazing, but I don't like it. And I'm just like, for the sake of the plot, be gone from me. Okay, like that really has been the thing. But honestly, I want people to start thinking like, when they read this, I want them to take away that you should always open your eyes to what you closed your eyes to once before. Like, it's time to start giving a second look to things that you really weren't privy to at one point. Because, like, in reality, like, there's so many things that are going on and so many things that are now popping up to, like, erase what the other thing was. Like, it's just so much. And a lot of people weren't paying too much attention to it then, but now that it's really in our face about it, now they're taking a second look like, oh, wait a minute. This is an issue. This is actually an issue, but it's been in our face this whole entire time, but now it's affecting me. So this is an issue. Like the whole book is like, there's stuff going on and people aren't putting any intention to it because it's not them, but it could be them at any second. So you really got to start looking at stuff now.
Yeah. Well, it's very, very similar to the poem about the Holocaust. when they came for these people, I didn't say anything because it wasn't me. When they came for these people, I didn't say anything. It wasn't me. When it came for these people, I didn't say anything because it wasn't me. When they came for me, there was no one left to say anything.
Right.
And we're seriously dabbling in a historic aspect of repeating that process.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Oh no, well, I'll say it. That's fine. That's fine. Again, all hate mail can get directly to Harry. It's fine.
He said it. He said it, y'all.
That is true. And unfortunately, I have to say this: we're coming to a close. But I'm gonna have enough time for both of you to answer this last two-parter. Netflix or Animate Studio called you tomorrow. Will this be live action or animated?
Animated.
Animated.
And go ahead. Don't want to cut you off, Alex.
Oh, I only said that because Lucius will tell you, it took a long time for me to finally break into the animation thing. Not saying that I didn't want the story to be animated at all, but I was so gung-ho on like live action. Again, like there's another character named Dusty in the novel who's Roshi. Shout out to Roshi Visions. That's his character. He does, again, he's the videographer. So naturally, again, when we were writing the script, we were already doing live action scenes and stuff for it. Lucius sat me down and was like, bro, I know you want to do this and I want this too, but let's be realistic here for a second. Cost, availability, efficiency, and the start of it all. Where are you gonna? And I'm just like, H. But you're talking right, So
you would almost say he's talking for the sake of the plot.
Exactly. See, he got me with my own line. Like, I can't even be mad for the sake of the plot. So like, he brought the animation idea, and again, because I want to voice act, I just started getting more into him. Like, yeah, no, animation's it, because I will not allow anyone else to voice Malcolm, because how are you going to voice me? I'm Malcolm.
To literally put your soul into a character and let someone else voice it, that sounds like blasphemy in my honest opinion.
Second part, why should someone download Unordinary Strangers on any platform?
Because simply put, this book is meant for everybody. That's the only way, the simply put way. We wrote it in a way so you can learn something from it. We wrote it in a so you can be entertained by it. We wrote it in a way so you can put yourself in the story quite literally. Like, we made this book so that we made this entire series that we have envisioned for the future so no one feels left out.
Plus, I also wanted to harp on the fact that, like, we as a Black community, we don't typically have stuff for ourselves. We don't have stuff that represents us, that we created, that no one else can really touch or anything like that. So in creating this series, it's just like, yeah, you can write a novel. Hey, look, I'm also putting music to that novel, so you can also do music for it. Graphic art. Like, there's so many different aspects of the culture that I'm bringing into this book. I'm asking a lot of different artists for music. I'm asking different graphic designers for, photos of how they think the characters look and stuff like that, because I do want it to be a culture thing. Like, hey, we can do this. It might not seem like it. Everybody else might be getting a piece of the pie, but we as a culture can do this. And here's an example. I started off at 23 doing this. We dropped it at 31, literally on my birthday. Like, and we're still going.
This last part's for the both of you. Please plug anything you got coming up, either within this project or separately. Please give your social media where people can contact you and network with you and everything good of that sort. And this final time is yours. Go right ahead to the both of you. Appreciate you guys.
You will find me on Instagram at FNO_FOJ, simply.
If you're looking for anything music related, Alex Nathan on YouTube, or Spotify, iTunes, all that good stuff. On Instagram, official_Alex_Nathan. March 20th, I am dropping a single called Black Ranger. It is the 6th-year anniversary of Red Ranger's release, so I decided to create a new song called Black Ranger, which is also for the culture, and I will be dropping on March 20th. So make sure you guys be ready for that.
And last but not least, let us know where we can get this book and everything related to this great art that we just read.
Amazon. Find
It's currently only on Amazon because we're going through a 90-day period with them currently. But I believe after April 1st, it will be in like actual stores. You can go to Barnes and Nobles and do that too. So by April 1st, you'll be able to be on the lookout for it to be everywhere.
No fools. You will not be a fool if you go check other places. Like, seriously.
Don't you hate it when like the important thing falls on like one of the joke holidays? You know, you're like, this is fantastic. Oh, but it's April Fool's, and then people are like, wait a second, do I get it that day? Then I'm not sure.
We are also looking for voice actors for the audio book because there are a lot of characters, and you know, we all sound the same. We can't make 5 guys sound like Malcolm, you know. So if you are interested, we are looking for that. I do not know the Unordinary Strangers email address, so I couldn't give that to you.
I can pull that up.
Awesome.
But yeah, we'll give out the email, and then you guys, if you guys are interested after reading the book and you think there's a character that you resonate with, or you want to be in the book, we are also doing that too.
Yeah, we're actively broadening it. Like the plot's not going to change, but that doesn't really mean anything. We can always add people. But if you want to reach out to us and you want to contact us, our email is unordinarystrangers7878@gmail.com. So unordinarystrangers78@gmail.com.
Guys, thank you so much for being part of Preston Easy Blues. Hope to get you guys on again. It was great learning from you. And we really didn't get too much of the layers with this onion right now. Myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island Raised, Elm City made, Mr. EZ Blues on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, New Haven.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know.
I don't know.